Hey there YouTube, this is Casher87, again bringing you another deck profile. My current deck is Duston. Kind of a little tired of the meta just right now, so I decided to just kind of be a jerk at locals and at regional level events. So I'm gonna work on this and perfect this to kind of be my backup deck. Just sort of like what I work on stuff for fun at locals and then bring this out when I feel like I don't really care anymore and I just want people to cry. So let's just get into it. Um, we have our main Dustin lineup right here, and I'll explain how all these work afterward. We have three house Duston, three white Duston, and then one of each color Duston. One blue, one red, one yellow, and one green. We also have a star Duston. Um, if you know Dustons, you know he's like their boss, but he's such a weird boss that kind of works against the lock and it's harder to come out. But I really like Star Duston anyway, so I just kind of tech a copy. Um, yeah, essentially you send Dustons off your side of the field as many as you want, and then he gains 1,000 for each. And then he's basically a giant walking floodgate where he prevents your opponent from special summoning, your opponent from flip summoning, and your opponent from activating set spells and traps. However, if your opponent has more monsters than you do, he blows himself up. So it's essentially you're supposed to the plan is supposed to be you're supposed to house dust on, send all the bad ones to your opponent, give you all the good ones, and then you summon a Stardust on. But that really doesn't help you. Um, and Stardust on does not have really enough innate protections that you can actually do that. So I just run a tech copy for fun, but probably once I take it to like a high level event, he'll probably be removed out for an actual spot. But for now, I have the space, so I feel like playing around. We have our six searchers for House Duston. We have three Stygian Security and three Shining Angel. It's important that in the first couple turns I lock. Otherwise, the opponent's going to get too much of a chance to get monsters on the field and break the lock. So, Stygian gets level 1 Fiend types, which House Duston is a level 1 Fiend, and then Shining Angel gets 15 or less lower lights, which House Duston is a 0 attack light. So basically, you summon one of these or House Dust on, then ram it into the opponent, and then you lock. Lava Golem I have in here not as a win condition, more just of it gives my opponent an attack position monster, and then it also lets me sort of control their numbers and get rid of like threats on the board that that are like problematic threats on the board. We'll see how it runs. I could be running Volcanic Queen in place just to get rid of certain cards or make an attack position thing. But I'm testing with Lava Golem for now because I prefer Lava Golem. That's it for the monsters. We have three enemy controller, really only used for the first effect to switch things to attack. Just when your opponent catches on, if your opponent has a defense position monster like the Burning Abyss, Open Dante's, they're in defense. You can't lock off of that, so you switch it to attack and then ram into it. Um, or for like after game one, when your opponent catches on to what you're doing, you're obviously going to need to switch them to attack to deal with whatever they have. So enemy controllers for that. We have one day our one allotted 1 day piece, our one allotted one for one. The one for one brings it up to 10 cards. Out of my 40 card deck, I can open to get House Dust on off. Right here is Battle Mania. This is our win condition. It forces all your opponent's monsters to attack. They must attack this turn to Fable, and they cannot switch positions. Basically, you send all the Dustons to your opponent, and then um, you will ram it into. They'll end up having to ram into your defense position monsters, which I'll get to how that works in a bit. But that basically, if they have four Dustons on their side of the field when you lock, you flip Mania when you do the lock correctly and you win. That's the win condition. But you don't actually need it when the lock happens. You can just wait. Three Dark Bribe just to stop all sorts of protection. I really don't care about the draw. They can draw all they want. An advantage doesn't really matter in this game. Well, I mean, not in this game. Advantage in the game. It does not matter in the games with Dustons in it. My bad. 3 Reckless Greed, 3 Good Goblin Housekeeping, and 3 Fairy Wind. Um, Reckless Greed and Good Goblin Housekeeping are both draw power, but something I've been trying in another deck is Fairy Wind with Good Goblin in it, because you can. It used to be way back when people would do emergency provisions to eat your Good Goblin Housekeeping when you flipped it, because it whenever you flip it and then it counts the number of Good Goblin Housekeepings in your graveyard, and then you draw that many cards plus one, and then send one card to the bottom. So essentially, you can flip multiple Good Goblins and then flip Fairy Wind. Fairy Wind will destroy it. Then in the resolution of Good Goblins, you'll have another Good Goblin Housekeeping in your graveyard. So you draw another card. Really, this is just sort of filler just to get speed. I mean, I really don't need that much speed just because I have 3 Stygian Securities, I have 3 Shining Angels, and 3 House Dust on. But it's just for added help. I mean, these can all be removed, and I might end up removing them sooner or later. We'll see. That is the deck. It's very simple. I just pretty much run 3 copies of everything I need, 1 copy of everything I only need the 1 copy of, or that I'm allotted 1 copy of, and then the 1 tech Stardust on. The extra deck is really just a bunch of rank 1s and downwards, but the only one that really matters, because it's like I have Utopia Roots, I have Dohans, I have downwards, I have Mira, I have both these two, uh, the Embodiment of Crime and the Embodiment of Punishment, Lionheart, but really, Slacker Magician is the only one that matters. You need at least 2 of those in your extra deck, and really that's all you need. Because, as I'll get into now, this is how the lock works. Somehow, you'll get a House Dust on the field. House Dust on is when it's destroyed by an opponent's card, either by battle when this card was face up at the start of the damage step, or by a card effect. You special summon as many House Dust-Ons from your deck as possible, but you have to special summon as Dust-Ons equal to the number you special summon to your opponent's side of the field as well out of your deck. So essentially, you ram this, and then it dies. You go, it dies. And then the best position to do this is when your opponent has 1 monster, and so you can special summon all 4 of these, all in defense, on your opponent's side of the field. They all have one sharing effect, and then a little effect when they're destroyed, but it doesn't really matter that much. They cannot be used for a fusion summon, an XYZ summon, a synchro summon, and cannot be tributed under any conditions, like for card effects, for anything. So basically, they're just sort of in the way on your opponents. They can still be destroyed, and they can still be sent, so you gotta watch it. You gotta watch those kind of things. That's kind of why I have the Dark Bribes, just for people who could be maining the 2 Dark Hole that you're allotted, because that could be easily a problem. But you special summon those on your opponent's side, and then you special summon copies of White Duston and House Duston, and House does not have that limitation on the other Dustons, and White is obviously normal, so it also doesn't have that limitation on your side of the field. So now your opponent has like 1 monster, hopefully something they can't use, and then you'll have then the 4 bad ones, and then you'll have 4 Dustons, which you then turn into 2 Slacker Magicians. And considering she prevents herself from targeting, and once per turn can't be destroyed by battle, if your opponent has 1, 2, or even 3 monsters, depending on the monsters they have, like you can still lock off of that as well. Just because, like, just for it really has to depend on what your opponent's playing. I mean, certain things they can have a few monsters out that won't do anything and it won't cause any problems, and you'll be fine. Other ones might. You really got to watch that. But so now you have 2 Slacker Magicians on your field, and then your opponent has 4 useless monsters that they can't get rid of easily, and whatever the monster they started with. That's the goal. That is the best case scenario. And then eventually you will draw into Battle Mania, set it, flip it, and now your opponent has 4 0 attack monsters they have to crash into a 2100 defense position monster. That is 8,400 damage, and that wins you the game. Really, and that's it. It's a very simple deck. It's very single-minded. Really, there's not a lot of skill to play it. Really, it's just about how you build the deck and how your opponent can react to it. I don't have a side right now. I'm thinking about doing a transformative side though. If I get one that kind of works, I will redo this video and I will let you guys know what that is. This is Care Super 87 signing out for now.